me tell you something interesting. Most of the people try to wear their favorite costume at least once. And now they will get a chance as Comic Con is back in Hyderabad and many people are eagerly awaiting for it. So today we are having with us the past winners of the Indian Cosplay Championship. While everyone tries to create their favorite costumes, not everyone has the time, not the budget to create their heart's desire. So we don't know how much needlework and effects it requires to create a cosplay or an armor. So hi, how are you both?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great too.
So what's your process for creating a cosplay on a budget? What do you have any specific strategies or tips on it?
Well, first of all, we need to understand that cosplay is like a hobby that a lot of people want to delve into, and budget can be a constraint. Obviously, not everybody has all the money to be able to spend and then create a cosplay out of thin air. I think the idea is to first of all select simpler costumes and not go way beyond that limit, and to make sure that these cosplays are simple, so that you know that you have to buy simpler stuff. Buying something a little ready-made obviously helps. There's that, but make sure that there's a fewer props and you buy simpler trinkets here and there to be able to pull off a proper costume at the Comic Con.
You can also look into your closet for some simple costumes, or you can go thrift shopping. So we can find more costumes which are very simple to cosplay.
So how would you decide which materials are be used for to buy that? Like what are the materials?
Okay, so most cosplayers who actually cosplay at Comic Con, and there's hundreds of cosplayers who come to Comic Con every single year. It's actually an amazing affair to be at. These cosplayers know the basics of what they want. So professional ones will buy foam. That's called EVA foam. They work with that. Most people, like herself, will work on cloth-based costumes. So that's kind of important.
That comes under the needlework category. So according to the character, I choose which cloth do I need to buy, which material do I need to prefer.
Exactly. And there are some people who actually want to do some VFX or some SFX on their face or their costumes. So they'll add lightings to it. There's that. And of course, without wigs and makeup, your costumes will look horrible. That's not going to work. So yeah, these are some of the materials that people work with in Comic-Con.
Can you share us any example of cosplay you have made that turned out great and didn't cost so much that?
Oh, I actually do have an example. So this was at Comic-Con when I cosplayed as Shigaraki Tomura. And it's a very popular character from Boku no Hero Academia. It's an anime. And I remember I made the costume in just one night. And it was impossible because the only thing I really had to buy was a pair of latex gloves, fill them with newspapers, add some elastics to it, and then just have like 8-10 hands on my body. Because I had a black t-shirt, I had the pants that I needed, red shoes that I needed, I had everything. I think it barely cost me around 300 rupees to pull that off. So yeah, that's it. And it was amazing, and people loved it, absolutely loved it. But what about you?
Yeah.
For me, it's this. This was a t-shirt, so I cut this open and then I stitched it. And the scarf I had it, the dress I had it, it's the leggings, that's it.
Whenever you go to Comic-Con, there are two different competitions that happen over there. One of them is the HCC. Let's say we're talking about Hyderabad. There is the local competition called the Hyderabad Cosplay Competition. And then there is the ICC qualifiers. That is the Indian Championship of Cosplay. In the Hyderabad Comic-Con, she'll handle it because I'll talk about the ICC over here. In the ICC, there are about 3 categories. One of them is armor, where we take a lot of foam-based work and participate in that. There is needlework, where you will be showing a lot of cloth work, just like we are doing right now. And the third thing would be FX, where people will show up with a lot of lightings and a lot of cool tricks and makeup, things like that. So these are 3 categories. 3 winners will be chosen in these 3 categories, and one of them will win the grand prize. This year, it's a pretty hefty amount, so I'm sort of gunning for it at the moment. She'll talk about the HCC.
In HCC, it's Hyderabad. It's Hyderabad-based cosplay. So we have 4 categories, which is anime, gaming,
TV shows and
TV shows, movies, and sci-fi category.
Yeah.
So accordingly, which character do you want to cosplay? You have to get into that category. So if I'm cosplaying from currently I'm cosplaying Mikasa from Attack on Titan, so I have to get into the anime category. And everybody else, whatever they prefer, they have to get into that category. So the winners will be chosen from these. One winner will be chosen from each category, and then they'll go for the grand prize. So they have like HCC prize in the end from like 4 categories.
So, what are some common mistakes you see people making when they are trying to create cosplay costumes on a budget, and how would they avoid them?
See, creating costumes on a budget itself is a big deal, honestly, because you first have to decide what your budget is. A lot of people who attend Comic Con, they appear in great costumes, obviously. But at the same time, first step is to actually decide what your budget is. And if you miscalculate that, it's just going to go over budget for sure. And then the other thing is people make a budget without even deciding what they want to buy. They don't know the materials that they need for this costume, what kind of props they need to make for it, and they overestimate this thing and it goes wrong over there for sure. And the third thing is maybe sometimes it's helpful to be able to reach out to a professional cosplayer who's done it before. So take some advice and then maybe get into this thing if you're a new cosplayer and you want to cosplay on a budget. And the biggest mistake, obviously, choosing the wrong character for yourself. Okay, choose the right character and you definitely will fall in the budget.
And start small, because if I choose a big cosplay right away, then I'm going to mess that up. And that will go over the budget. So I start small with a very basic character, make sure that I do it perfectly, and then go over the big cosplays later.
So, how do you approach buying or making accessories like props or weapons without breaking the bank?
So I look into my house if I want to make an accessory. For example, if I'm making a flag, I use my curtain rod and add few foam work around it, and then attach my cloth, and that's how I make one flag out of it. And for weapons, I can either use bamboos or woodwork mostly. And accessories for example, I did saber cosplay back in 2017. So for the bun that I had to make out of the wig, I used a bowl. The bowl. So I wrapped hair around it, glued it, and then that's how I made a whole bun out of that cosplay. So that is how I make.
I mean, good thing you mentioned a curtain, because the inside of my cape is actually a curtain.
Okay.
This is actually a curtain. So yeah, this is what we do. I actually agree with her on this thing. We try to find more things that are available at home. This will definitely save a lot of budget. You obviously get your mom and dad screaming at you. That's definitely for sure. But yeah, you can find some accessories over there. And at the same time, the best thing to do would be to have a specific locations in your mind where you can find some stuff. So for example, I have specific shops that I go to. For example, I have a foam shop where I go to and I can just tell them, I need this much of a quantity of something, and they'll definitely provide it to me. And one of the go-tos for finding cheaper materials in Hyderabad would be Old City. Okay, whatever you want to go for, anything you want to go for, just go to the Old City. It might take a whole day to be able to shop something over there, but you will definitely fit everything in your budget. So those are some of the tips that I can give you at the moment.
So, do you have any favorite online resources that helps the cosplayers?
So for example, if I have to buy wigs, since AliExpress is banned currently, I have to look on Instagram pages so that I can get from the local stores. So we have iTree, Irashi store that can provide wigs. Which you can't find easily in Hyderabad, in local stores, offline. So that is one resource that I can count on. And otherwise, materials and all, you can find that in Hyderabad abundantly. And that's it. I think wigs are the only thing which is problematic for me that I can get through online resources.
Then another thing is that when it comes to costumes, basically, the one thing is you can find a few other cosplayers who are professionally doing this thing. You can reach out to them and you can tell them and ask them for help on how to make the costume, or they'll do it for you. So you just pay a certain amount to them, they'll charge you for it. But yeah, they can help you get ready with a costume. But at the same time, I will also add that the fun of cosplaying is honestly in making your own costume. So yeah, please don't forget that.
So, how do you make your cosplay standing out and looking professional, even if you are working with the limited funds?
By having confidence first. That's how you stand out and make it. Even though you're like, okay, this might not work out, you got to be like, okay, this will work out. I'm going to just fake confidence at least. For that, yeah.
I think some of the things that actually make your cosplays stand out Confidence, yes, 100% necessary. But what you also need to do is, let's say your cosplay is a little bit simpler and you feel like it's not up to the mark as other cosplayers are. Don't worry about it, because what you really need is the right kind of makeup to look like the character. The right kind of wig will definitely make you stand out. If you don't have the right wig, it just won't be relatable and people might not recognize you. And the third thing is obviously to be at the Comic Con. Choose the right kind of conventions, choose the right characters, because the confidence will build when people recognize you. That's the other thing. And at the same time, fourth and the most important thing is, whenever you're in character, it's the most important thing to pose or act like the character. And I feel like if you just stand there like this, it's just very dull. But the moment you have your fingers up and doing something like this, like Doctor Strange, this definitely makes a difference. And people notice these things at Comic Con. So I want you guys to be able to, whoever is listening, just make sure that you follow all of these steps, and you will definitely stand out and be the crowd favorite. You will not be able to walk in the con way too easily.
So, what's your advice you would give to the new cosplayers?
To not buy low quality wigs and not buy cheap cloth materials. I know it goes over the budget, but after you finish the costume, it's going to look very shabby if it's very less low quality costume or low quality wig.
Yeah. Quality definitely makes a difference over here. The other advice that I would like to give to new cosplayers is, understand why you are cosplaying. I think it's important to see, are you just doing it as a hobby? Or are you doing it for the art form? Or are you doing it to celebrate the fandom that you belong to? Or are you trying to build a community and be with like-minded people at events like Comic Con, which is like the biggest event there is in the entire country for cosplay? So try to understand what your purpose is with cosplay and stick to it, and go and meet other cosplayers who are ready to accept you as one of your own, because it's a growing community in Hyderabad. It's an amazing community, and Comic Con is one of those platforms where you definitely can find such people who will appreciate you and appreciate your efforts. So my biggest advice is to go find such people and then try to interact, meet them, and have fun.
So, at last, how do you manage your time and budget when working on the multiple cosplay projects, especially when preparing for the convention?
Wow. The short answer is we don't. Sure, but I would definitely share my experience in this matter, because we like to attend multiple cons at the same time. Comic Con has announced 8 different cities this time, and there's too many opportunities for me and her to cosplay, and so many more cosplayers to cosplay at. We're looking forward to visiting all of these cons. The way that we manage this is to prioritize exactly what we want. So yes, I'm currently working on multiple projects to at least go to Hyderabad and then Delhi and Bangalore. The idea is to prioritize what you want first. I know Hyderabad is coming up first, and I will definitely be making sure that I spend a few sleepless nights. The con crunch is real. Okay, the 1 week before the Comic Con arrives, it is real for every single cosplayer, and we spend a lot of sleepless nights making sure that the project is over in as minimally as possible with the effort and the budget that we can apply. And the other thing is taking help from anybody we can. Okay, my mom has been a constant supporter of me going to Comic Cons for the last 10 years. So she's always there helping me finish my cosplay. So yeah, get as much help as you can. That would be one thing that I would suggest.
So, at last, the final question. So, who is the goat of all anime? Just we wanted to know.
The goat of all anime, oh my god. Honestly speaking, I think, my god, you just confused me. You could probably make a case for every single main character there is, honestly. It's very difficult. The thing is, I'm not into shonen anime per se, so I don't like these mainstream animes like Naruto or things like that. So I'm not a huge fan of those. I have enjoyed it, but at the same time, I think if you talk about me personally, I love the character Zero from Code Geass. That would be my go-to man as a goat.
And mine would be Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Wow. So we're both old school that way. It's great. That's great.
So, yes, we had very good time with you both. And so, again, we'll see you on Comic Con. So, that's on November 15th, 16th, and 17th of this month. So, till then, keep watching HYBIZ.TV.